Hi, I'm Lisa Marie. Welcome to my channel, Living My Best Life. I hope you're living your best life too. If you're new here, I invite you to subscribe. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Hi everyone, it's Vlogmas. Today is day one, and we're going to talk about holidays around the world and what's celebrated amongst different people and their different belief systems. Let's get right into it. In the United States, we celebrate Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. We celebrate New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Also, some people celebrate Hanukkah and other people celebrate Kwanzaa. This year, Hanukkah is December 22nd through the 30th, so it actually goes over Christmas, which doesn't happen that often. Often it's before Christmas. Hanukkah is a Jewish celebration. It lasts for 8 days, celebrating the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. It's also called the Festival of Lights. Back at that time, the Jews rose up against their oppressors, the Greeks and Syrians, in the Maccabean revolt, and they were able to take over the temple again. In the Jewish faith, it's actually not as important to them as Christmas is to Christians. They use a menorah, which is a candle holder. It has 9 places for candles, 4 on each side and 1 in the middle, and they use the middle one to light each of the days of Hanukkah. And it represents that the lights, even though they were running low on oil, that the lights didn't go out for that whole time. And that's why it's also a festival of lights. And a lot of people wonder, is Hanukkah mentioned in the Bible? Well, actually, in the New Testament, it's mentioned in John 10, 22 and 23. So if you want to check that out, that's pretty interesting. Another holiday celebrated during this time of the season is Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa started in 1966, 1967, and it's a week-long celebration in the United States and other places where peoples that came out of Africa might be. They actually don't celebrate it in Africa per se. It's more of a way to celebrate the culture of having a background of being African and to honor African heritage. It's not so much a religious holiday as it is a cultural holiday. There are 7 core principles in Kwanzaa: unity, self-determination, collective work, responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. Kwanzaa is on December 26th to January 1st. New Year's Eve is where we celebrate the close of the one year and the beginning of the next. At midnight, the ball drops, or everybody puts their glass up, or you get a kiss, and you're just wishing everyone a happy new year. And then New Year's Day, we celebrate the first day of the new year. Most countries around the world that use the same calendar that we do here in the Western world celebrate New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Now I'm going to tell you about a holiday that's not celebrated in the United States, but is celebrated in the countries that are part of England or at one time were part of the Commonwealth or under English rule. And that's Boxing Day. Boxing Day is the day after Christmas, the 26th. Back when this started, traditionally, the servants who were working for their masters would be able to have that day off, and they would be given a Christmas box by their masters. And they would take it home and bring it to their family and have the day off and celebrate. It's not a religious holiday, but it is a public holiday and a bank holiday, for example, in the UK. Over time, it's actually become more of a shopping day, like in the United States, we have Black Friday. Boxing Day is something like that more now than what it used to be. But most companies are closed, but not the shops, but like the businesses and the government buildings and the post office, those kind of things will be closed. A holiday that's mostly celebrated in Europe is St. Nicholas Day. They're celebrating the 3rd century saint who gave all of his possessions and money away. In the Western Christian countries, they celebrate on December 6th, but in the Eastern Christian countries, they celebrate on the 19th of December. The night before, children would put their shoes or stockings out and hope that St. Nicholas would come by in the morning, fill their shoes and stockings with gifts. That doesn't mean they don't get Christmas gifts. This is just something additional. People attend Mass or some other kind of a service, and it is observed by specific groups of Christians. For example, Anglicans, Catholics, Eastern Orthodox, Lutherans, Methodists, and there may be more. They also have a feast. Something interesting is in India they celebrate Christmas not necessarily as a religious holiday, the Christians there do, but like the Hindus, for example, might just celebrate it as a day to give gifts. But in the country they consider it a gazetted holiday, which means that it's a mandatory holiday by the government. those that are celebrating Christmas, as the Christians do, are celebrating the birth of Christ. Particularly the Catholics would go to midnight mass, and in southern India they put a small oil-burning clay lamp on their flat roofs, and they do this to show that Jesus is the light of the world. That's kind of different. I didn't know that. Tell me if you knew about that down in the comments. Now in Japan, there are also people that might be celebrating Christmas based on their particular belief system, but they have something interesting. Instead of the same kind of holidays that we do, in November they have a Thanksgiving, but it's not like the American Thanksgiving. It's on November 23rd, and it's a labor Thanksgiving. It's a day that you have off. It commemorates labor and production, and you're thankful for that when you celebrate that day. They don't have turkey or anything like that. Originally, it was like a harvest festival. Now, on a funny note, in Japan, this started back in 1974 when Kentucky Fried Chicken decided to do a holiday marketing campaign, and it went to Japan. And as a funny thing now, a lot of Japanese eat Kentucky Fried Chicken or KFC on Christmas. Thought you might find that amusing. I know I did. I had no idea. In a lot of the Hispanic or Latino countries, they celebrate Three Kings Day. It's actually one of the oldest Christian feasts, predominantly Catholic. It's celebrated 12 days after Christmas, the 5th, 6th of January. It's also referred to as Epiphany. It honors the three wise men or three kings and represents the day that they brought their gifts to Jesus. In Mexico and some other Hispanic countries, they exchange gifts on this day. Now, the two I haven't mentioned yet, but of course we all know, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. For Christmas Eve, on the religious side, we're celebrating the night before Christ was born. Now, I'll get into that in a second. The children are excited that Santa's going to come during the night while they're sleeping and fill their boxes with presents, and their stockings too. Now, some people abstain from meat or fat from animals on Christmas Eve, and then they eat meat on Christmas Day. So they might have seafood on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day has a few names: Noel, Nativity, Xmas, however you want to refer to it. It stands for Christ Mass, which is really Mass of Christ. And it celebrates the birth of Jesus. It is religious, but it can also be cultural. Traditionally, we give gifts or exchange gifts. We have family get-togethers, a big meal. Oftentimes there's turkey or ham. We use a lot of symbolic decorations, angels and snowmen and the nativity scenes and stars and snowflakes and of course Santa Claus and elves, things like that. Now, back to the birth of Christ. Some people believe that Christmas Day on December 25th is really a pagan celebration, and that it has evolved into more of a pagan type of a commercial holiday. And that is probably true to a great extent, because it doesn't say anywhere specific in the Bible the time of year when Jesus was really born. And based on some evidence, and I won't get into too many details, you can look it up if you're interested, it is actually more likely that he was born in the fall because of some other things that were happening. So for example, the shepherds and their flock. In December in Israel, the shepherds and their flock wouldn't be out. It would be very rainy and they would actually be taking shelter. So that's a reason right there that it probably wasn't December. Truth be told, it's not relevant whether it was December or October, because what really matters was that he was born, and that's what we're celebrating. I hope this was interesting. Tomorrow is going to be part 2. We're going to talk about some other holidays that are celebrated around the world. Can't wait to see you then. Have a great day. Bye.